Welcome to a new edition of the Big Joel Show. And today, on this rainy day in Washington, D.C., I've got Garrett Locklear in the studio, beamed in from, what's it called? Is it Charm City? What's Nashville called? What's the city?
Music City.
Music City. Oh boy, I screwed that up. Good. From Nashville, Tennessee, and Garrett is a very interesting guy. He's a cool guy, and he's a guy that does a lot of production. So you want to get your pens out today when you're listening. Garrett's a loan officer, works for Movement Mortgage, again in Nashville. Actually, Garrett, it's Brentwood, right? Which is a suburb of Nashville, correct?
Yep, just south of Nashville. Yeah.
But it's Nashville Metro, and Garrett has been a retail loan officer for 6 years, and he's 34. So those of you newer loan officers, please listen up as you're complaining. I hear a lot of noise all the time. I can't do this, and I can't do that, and it's too hard, and my rates are too high, and all sorts of complaints all the time. Garrett is a relative when you look at the average age of loan officers, which is 53 years old. Garrett's a relative newcomer, and just let me give you some numbers. Those of you that know me know that I'm all about units. Garrett and I will fight over that quite frequently. But 2017, and by the way, it would be more impressive if I gave you 2016 to see the upward mobility of what he's been doing. But 2017, 189 units for $51 million. Again, that's 15 units a month. Garrett, were there any refis in there at all?
Maybe one or two, not a lot.
Okay, so we're going to call it almost 15 purchase units a month. And then year to date, 2018, through the end of September, we extrapolated, assuming these loans are going to close, because I'm sure they're all in closing already, 181 units for $53 million. So he's already surpassing his volume for last year with 3 months left to go in the stretch. And those of you that have been in the mortgage business for a while know, typically October and November are good closing months. We kind of roll right through Thanksgiving. So Garrett, welcome to the show. Thank you for being with us, beamed in from Nashville. And today, we just want to talk about what sort of makes you, maybe the things that you do to make you different, to stand out. We know there's lots of loan officers, lots of real estate agents. Anyone that's worked with me for a while knows that I always say, your job isn't to do loans. It's to find people who know people who need loans, become best friends with those people, and get them to refer the people that need loans to you. So give me a little overview on your business. Go back to sort of the beginning of when you got into retail and tell me how you got where you are now.
Yeah, so back in 2011 through about 2014, I was doing a lot of online leads. It was horrible looking back, but at the time I didn't know any better. I just thought it was challenging and it was something new, it was exciting. But after a couple of years of that, I definitely was burned out. I think my record was 226 phone calls in one day. It was horrible. It was horrible, but it was a great learning experience because I knew nothing, and so that's sort of how I cut my teeth. But then I heard about these guys who were they weren't making 225 phone calls a day. They actually had people calling them, and I thought my mind was blown at the prospect of that. And so I decided to sort of jump ship and get into the business of relationships. Is really what it is, and it's about finding the right realtor partners or just referral partners in general to work with. Someone who's in your vein of life and that you have a lot of commonality with. Early on, another hard lesson learned was I was just trying to work with anyone, and definitely was working with a lot of the wrong people. People who they might have been doing volume, they might not have, but we weren't on the same wavelength as far as business goes, as far as life goes, and so got yelled at a lot, and had to learn that lesson. Got yelled at, hated it, thought about quitting, and decided to, again, kind of pivot the business toward working only with people that I liked. And it was super slow at first because getting to know someone, nurturing that relationship, and figuring out if it is a good fit for you is a long road to take. But it turns out that to me is the only way to do it. And so fast forward to today, we went from doing 18 million to 31 million to about 51 million last year, and hopefully we'll hit 65 million this year. We'll see if we can and hit that number. But it's about nurturing relationships, building on them in a way that is authentic, and repeating that over and over again. That's it.
So I want to just key in on a couple things for people listening, because loan officers are so impatient. Relationships are a marathon, not a sprint. And the loan officers that I work with that fail cannot sort of stay the course and wait it out, and just don't understand that to build that value relationship with your, I call it a new best friend who happens to be a real estate agent, doesn't happen in 2 minutes. And actually, the way your volume has gone up is a perfect, graph, not to get into math, but it's a perfect graph based on deepening those relationships. And those loan officers that are listening right now, most of you are what I call tactical, your technician loan officers. Plenty of you are great loan officers, and if I talk to a real estate agent that you work with, hey, what do you think about Mr. X over here? They would say, oh, he's a great loan officer. But they're not going to say he's a great loan officer and he's one of my good friends. They usually don't say that. And the difference is that best friend piece, and it's not just for you. It's not just for the loan officer. I find real estate agents, I've coached and mentored them for a long time, their business grows very quickly when they start working with a really good loan officer that they really trust, that they can release more, that they don't have to call every single day for status. They might call once a week, and you might status the 5 loans that you have and process together, and you're done, because they know it's going to get done, so they can actually go and sell more houses. And, for those of you that heard what Garrett said, how he started, there's a lot of you right now that started doing, whether it was lead gen or, whatever it is, and then made that transition. You need to understand that these are 2 totally separate businesses. Making 220 calls a day, begging people or using some script is not the business that Garrett and I are talking about today. So if you're doing that, it's totally different. That is literally call 100 people and hope 3 people will say yes, and you can get one of them to close. That's that business. The business Garrett and I are talking about today is actually working closely with partners, with your friends, together to really grow your business up. So Garrett, tell me some of the things I know a bunch of the things you did because we've known each other for a little while, but tell me some of your top, Garrett, give me like your top 2, your top 3 most impactful things that you've done in your business consistently. Those that don't know you, you are a dog on a bone once you get going, and once you figure something out, you're a grinder. And I want to talk about that as well, too, about working hard. But give me the top 1 or 2 or 3 Garrett things people could take away from this that, anybody could do.
Yeah, well, finding the right relationships, that's huge because, and to your point a little earlier about having patience, I walked into an office, Keller Williams actually, and I asked like, hey, who's got a great reputation? I'm not interested in volume. I'm interested in people who know how to treat people well. And it took me 1 year, literally, to go from that day to receiving my first referral from this team.
1 year.
1 year. It was literally 1 year, and I was in front of them monthly. And it happened to be the top team in the office, so that's not an easy team to break through with. Fast forward, and we just celebrated our 50th closing.
Wow.
3.5 years later. So, but from learning about them, learning that they had a great reputation, to actually receiving my first referral from them was 1 year. To give you an idea of really how much time it can take. It could take more than that if you're going after teams that do have a good reputation and are doing a good amount of volume. They're getting inundated with lenders, and so to walk in there and say you're different, it's going to take some time to prove.
They don't care. Yeah, they don't care at the beginning. Yeah. And also, Garrett, they're probably have a good relationship with a loan officer already, or a couple.
Yeah.
So
four.
you're so you're fighting that as well. Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
So patience, right?
Patience
is that lesson.
finding
1 year, people.
huge,
1 year,
huge.
1 year riding the bench, waiting to get in the game. My top team, Garrett, that I ever worked with, 3 years.
Yeah.
It took me 3 years riding the bench. Yeah,
Absolutely.
Okay, so
but they're the right relationship, and time proves it. 50 closings that we've successfully done, and when you find the right relationship with a realtor, that realtor is going to be in the same circles as the type of clients that you want to work with as well. So you're not just focused on that relationship, but the referral sources they're sending to you are also people that you want to work with. They're high quality referrals. And so it's sort of downhill from there. It's your job not to screw it up, essentially.
All right, so patience, number one. And by the way, this is, I was just having a conversation with a loan officer. You would have been cracking up at this. A new person, I think you know who he is. And he was like, Joel, this is like so simple, but yet so hard. And I said, I don't model match. I model match up with about 98, with 2% of all the loan officers, because I just look at them and I'll say, you have to do this. And they're like, wait, isn't there anything else? I'm like, no, that's it. And they go, wait, that's all I have to do? I'm like, by the way, that's actually hard. That's hard. Yeah. And the reason you're not doing it is because it's hard. It's because you don't want to do it. But they're like, wait, but that's like so simple. I'm like, yeah, nobody does that. You actually have to do it. And patience is huge. And I cannot tell you how many loan officers tap out, go back to old behaviors because they just can't wait. Right when they're on the precipice of starting to crack it wide open, they go right back to the, here's my business card, who do you know who, beating them over the head, asking them for referrals, the old, always have to ask for the business, which, I both know is insane, crazy. Asking for the business at the wrong time will put you out forever. Okay, so patience. What else, Garrett? What else besides patience? That's a huge message, but what else besides that?
Patience, I think knowing your value as well is a huge, huge one, because if you know the value that you can bring to someone's business, then you won't settle for an agent that sends you a couple of referrals, but they never close and they're horrible. You won't settle for an agent that yells at you because something went wrong. Knowing your value will reflect in your business. It reflects in the referrals that you receive, and it will go to establish a great reputation for you in the marketplace.
So let's unpack that up a little bit, okay? Because I want everyone to understand what Garrett is saying here, okay? If you're a brand new loan officer, you're going to have to work through a lot of relationships at the beginning, because one of the big secrets, and I tell loan officers this all the time, is they'll complain, this agent is such a pain. She's calling me every single day. She's mad because we had to move the settlement. Meanwhile, her client, didn't provide the documents or went out of the country for a month, or whatever happened. It's not our fault. And she's mad. One of the things I always explain to loan officers, I'm like, look, agents look at you as a combination of every other loan officer that they've ever dealt with before. So if they've been hazed their whole career with bad loan officers, and there's plenty of them, well then, they're going to call you every day, because they've figured out that if they don't call every day, it's not going to close. Now, with you, Garrett, it will close. So at the beginning, when I hear you say, know your value, I just want to couch that a little bit for people. You're not turning around on day one and slamming someone and saying, no, you're not, you may not call me. What you're doing is working them through, proving it. And then once you've proved it in a B2B, that's when you're going to take it to the next level, correct? I just don't want people to hear that the wrong way, because there's a lot of trainers and teachers and coaches that'll tell loan officers, just fire that agent if they're crazy, if they're an idiot or whatever. And I'm always like, whoa, wait a minute. What do you mean just fire them? What, first of all, why are they crazy? Why are they crazed right now? Did their last 10 settlements blow up because of the loan officer? Okay. That's why they're crazy. Now, some of them are crazy, but most of them are, it's almost like a dog that got beaten that's in the pound. And you go to pet the dog and the dog goes to the ground. It's because they've had such bad experiences. But that message is huge for people to hear as they grow their business out. When your phone rings, you should be happy about picking it up, right? Especially if it's Sunday afternoon while you're grilling. You should be very happy about picking it up. Tell me a little bit about like work ethic, about grinding, about getting it done?
Yeah. I mean, you have to work hard. There's no way around that.
What does that mean?
Hours.
What does that mean, work hard? Tell these guys. Tell everyone listening what that means.
Yeah, it's long hours, so you have to put in the time. You have to remain focused on the business, on the clients, on your referral partners. I usually get up at 5:45 and go to the gym in the office by 7:30, definitely by 8, because the phone will start ringing around then. And you always want to pick up the phone. Let's say you're not in the office. You want to prove to your referral partners that you are available to them when they need you. And then you want to sort of train them on the back end that you are available whenever they need you, but don't call unless it's important. So you want to show them first that you're available, and then and train them when to call and when not to. And then as far as work ethic goes, Friday is the same hours as Monday. We don't really leave at noon or yeah. And we're in the office every day at 8. And most Saturdays, I put in a few hours, and most Sundays I probably put in a few hours as well. But try and also maintain a balance between work and life. So working hard to me, it just means putting in the time and letting people know that you're available whenever they need you, and also working smart as well as working hard.
So everyone, Garrett just said that you're available whenever they need you. It never ceases to amaze me when I meet loan officers that are closing 2 loans a month, 3 loans a month, and they're using out of office on their email, and they're turning their phone off because they need quality time, between 5 and 7 on a Friday, whatever they're doing. And I just say to them, I say, do you really understand the business that you got yourself into? I mean, do you get, you are building your business. You can't afford to not be available right now. And I wanted everyone else to make sure you just heard that a guy that's going to close $65 million this year, the guy that's going to close, I don't know, 200 to 200, and I'm probably doing the math wrong, Garrett, probably 15.
Over 200
probably,
units,
about maybe 205, 208 units for the year. Almost all of them purchases just said, I'm working a little bit on Saturday and working a little bit on Sunday. And let me tell you something else. He's not turning his phone off. If he gets a phone call at 4 o'clock on Sunday from one of his partners that needs him, he's going to pick up. It's not like he's going dark ever. And I will tell you, some of the best loan officers, I work with loan officers that close over 30 units a month. They never go dark. Now, they might forward their phone to somebody, at that level for certain times if they're doing things. Garrett, congratulations. You're going to be a big daddy for the first time. We got one in the oven. And, there's going to be times, and you're earning that now when you're doing something. Maybe you're a kindergarten dad or whatever, but your still phone is not going to go dark. You're going to forward it somewhere. Somebody's going to pick that thing up. You're just not going to turn it off. And I have to tell you, you might know this, you might not. There are so many loan officers that I don't know, they just buy into this. I don't know what trainers or who you're listening to, this work-life balance, all this stuff. And they just think it's fine for them to just go dark, and they're closing like 1.8 loans a month. And they wonder why, The other thing you said was really, really interesting. And you used the word train, which is, I knew you would say that. That's a Garrett way to say it. But train the agents, then how to really interact with you. And I want everyone to hear that. That's key. Okay, Garrett didn't sit down with him and say, okay, today at lunch, I'm going to train you how to call me. Okay, so I'm gonna give you the between the lines on where he's going with that. And Garrett, you can correct me if I'm wrong anywhere. This is a slow, methodical process through relationship building that you teach your new friends the best way to communicate with you, actually not in a selfish manner, for them to get more of what they want. So I want to make sure, because people take stuff so literally, that they would take this away and say, okay, today we're going to train you on when to call me. No, that is not what's going on here at all.
We want to encourage them when to call us.
It's a slow process of they're used to working with probably unprofessional loan officers that don't handle things correctly. It takes them 3 hours to do something that it takes you 10 minutes to do. And they're used to having to be a little crazy on the time stuff. And, I tell people all the time when I was sort of at my peak, whatever, nobody called me on Saturday or Sunday unless they had a relo or something. And they needed me and they would apologize. Joel, I'm like, of course. What do you got?
Yeah.
No, no problem. Because they knew that I was available, but they also knew Monday morning I was going to be in the office probably around 6:45. Back then, the contracts weren't being emailed. They were being faxed, and there might have been 20 contracts in there. And we'd be taking them all out of the fax and stacking stuff and putting it together and taking the pre-quals or whatever and making them live. But they knew. They knew where I was. They knew exactly where I was, and they knew the best way to get a hold of me. Now, being proactive, Garrett, what do you do with your pipeline to be proactive to not have all of those inbound status calls coming from your partners? Tell us about that a little bit.
Well, we really front load the process, and that really helps the weekends to clear up the weekends. If we're out there and I'm talking to our referral partners and we're really adamant about, hey, let's talk to the clients on the front end, days, maybe weeks, maybe even months ahead of when they're looking to make an offer. And let's get everything in place, not just their information, but documentation as well, so that when they pull the trigger and they're ready to make an offer, it's not Saturday at 8 p.m. and we're having to make an application for someone. We've spoken with them perhaps weeks before. And along the way, every 30 days, of course, we're updating bank statements and paycheck stubs and any other document that has a timestamp on it. So again, when they're ready to make an offer, then we can pull the trigger quickly. All the work, or let's say about 90% of the work's been done. And once they're under contract, we're really focused on the appraisal, title insurance, and homeowners insurance. And so when you set it up like that, your weekends aren't filled up with referrals who need to be approved. If you're talking with your referral partners and walking them through the difference of that process versus sort of your typical process, then they're sending their clients Monday morning or Wednesday or sometime during the week, so that when the weekend rolls around, we've got them ready to go. And we'll follow up with people for 3, 4, 5, 6, 12, 24 months, however long it takes to walk them through their timeline of buying a home. But front end is huge with us. It's the way that we're able to consistently close loans and close them on time. I think the last time we closed a loan late was like 2016.
And not in a crazed fashion. And those of you that listening today that have dealt with me or been through a crush group or have heard me talking about a BIC or butts and cars system, that's what Garrett is referring to. And it is a very aggressive upfront system that actually a lot of the referral partners will fight it at first because they're a little scared to coach their clients on what they're going to get when they call Garrett Locklear. But once they embrace it, agents, I've never met an agent that hasn't said, oh, that is awesome. Because I can always close quicker. I always look better to the listing agent. And Garrett brushed over something very quickly that I don't know if you all heard. You might want to go back and listen to it. He said every 30 days he's updating docs. So in Garrett's office, and in an office of anyone that's working, call it my button car system or BIC system, you are not going to see them running around with their hair on fire because they got a ratified, we call it ratified in DC Metro, because they got an accepted contract and now it's live. And now the agent wants to close and they want to close in 13 days or however fast they want to close. There is not a crazy commotion going on at Locklear Lending Team because they're just going to grab that file. That file's docked. It's done. I mean, it's finished. They need to order the appraisal and they need to get title work and they're done. They have the contract. They're done. They're not picking that file up like most loan officers do and kind of going, blowing the dust off it and going, oh crap. Or even more so, At Movement, they approve TBDs, but a lot of companies do that now. And then the loan officer will be like, oh, it's approved. Well, anyone that's ever talked to me before knows if you have an approval with any conditions, it's denied. It's not approved. It's a denied loan. So now you're picking up a denied loan that most loan officers think is an approved loan. It's not an approved loan. There's like a gift. You don't even have the gift. If you don't get the gift, it can't close, right? So now you have a contract. You have an agent going crazy that wants to close. No gift. So Garrett is way out in front of that. I mean, far out in front of that in a very organized fashion, making sure that what he's got in his office is live and ready to go. And if for some reason it's not, he's going to go ahead and spend the time and make it live. Now, a lot of loan officers will push back on me on this, Garrett, and they'll say, well, why would I do that? Why would I do the work twice? I know I'm going to have to go back and get it anyway. And, I tell them anytime you're talking to a client or you're talking to an agent, it's an opportunity to deepen an existing relationship or develop a new one. So why would you not want to keep your whole pipeline fresh? Why would you not?
Yeah.
I mean, you apped them. You pulled credit on them. They can buy. Yep. They're just out there, they're just out there looking. So I wanted to just unpack that a little bit so people understood. There's obviously a lot more to it. We don't have enough time today. We could go probably 3 hours on that, right? I mean, just on dealing with TBDs if you really wanted to get dirty in there. And your agent partners, as they get to know you, I'm assuming they just love the fact that you're doing that, correct?
Absolutely. It provides them with the certainty to know that their time is being well spent. The buyers they're working with are qualified. If you get them under contract, it will close. On the buyer side of things, it makes them a more competitive buyer. And in our marketplace, that's very, very valuable. So there's no party that loses out. Everybody wins if we are front loading the work and going ahead and doing typically what you do on the back end, going ahead and doing that on the front end. And it's a full process. We're ordering tax transcripts. We're doing all the VOEs. We're doing the bank statements. We're bringing in the gift funds. We're documenting it. I mean, it's the whole 9 yards.
Yeah, and again, some of you loan officers, you might be listening to this right now. Oh, yeah, we do that. Yeah, everyone does that. Everyone gets them pre-approved and whatever. No, I want you to just listen to me. No, that is not what we're talking about right now. This is completely abnormal. I think, Garrett, you can tell, when you and I first met each other, you were like, okay, right? I mean, what I'm talking about, what you and I are talking about right now, this is not what most loan officers are thinking. This is not pulled credit, got a pay stub at a W-2, jammed it in an underwriter, and it's sitting in a drawer with 19 conditions. Right? that they say, oh, it's approved. It's pre-approved. Yeah. This is not what we're talking about right now at all. Okay. And by the way, those of you listening, I don't care if your company approves TBDs or not. It doesn't matter because a good loan officer, underwriter doesn't even need to look at it, unless it's a funky file. You could still have it in the same status Garrett's is in. Absolutely. You could have it docked, sitting there, locked in a drawer, ready to go. Correct?
Yeah, and the proof is in the experience. When they're under contract and you've got it cleared to close in 8 or 9 days, and the realtor's mind is just absolutely blown. And at that point, you're really not having to ask for referrals. They're trying to shove you everything they have so that you can repeat that experience over and over again for them. So the proof is, hey, give me one shot at it. Let me show you how the process works, and then we can talk about it on the back end. And if you are doing it correctly, then the experience speaks for itself.
So tell us a little bit about, you and I just talked about this. For those of you that haven't figured this out, Garrett is pretty. He's a high tech guy. I'll give it he's a little geeky. If you give him some technology and he believes in it, he will run with it. And Garrett, tell us a little bit about what you've experimented with, what you've started playing with, because I know you already have some data, what you started playing with for what I call the after close experience. And I want to say one thing. Those of you that use the term past client, please stop saying that. Past client infers that you're done with them. You're never done with people you do loans for, because if you're providing an experience like Garrett is, you want to be in front of them and you want them to know to please call you if they need anything. So I call them current clients. I call them CCs, not past clients. But what I'm asking Garrett to share a little bit now is, okay, the loan just closed. It funded. It closed, whatever state you're in. Tell us a little bit about what you've implemented, what's happening, because you've gone above and beyond. You don't have to get highly technical. Just your thought process. Maybe some touch points and what you're doing.
Yeah, well, it really all started a couple of years ago. We were starting to do a little bit of volume, and so I was trying to think of ways that we could continue to stay in front of our clients long after they close, but in a way that is scalable because at some point you may have thousands, but also, and equally important, that is extremely personal to that client. So I wasn't really interested in mass mailers or mass anything. I really wanted to, if we were going to reach out to that client, be extremely personal, but also be scalable, meaning we couldn't pick up the phone and call each client once a week if we had, let's say, 2,000 clients in the database. So the first thing we did was really segment the clients between, who's our top clients as far as referring as business and just being a huge fan of the team. We want to make sure that we are definitely calling them. And so we started to segment the clients. And then we used technology to figure out ways that we could use automation, but also keep it extremely personal. So one of the things we do, we partnered with a company that will literally handwrite cards for us. So we have the client's information as far as their name, address, closing date, birth date, home anniversary, et cetera, et cetera. The agent that we worked with as well. And so
Are you using Notarific, or what are you guys using?
We use handwritten with a Y.
Okay.
Handwritten.
Got it.
And the reason that we use them is because they will sync with our Salesforce platform that we developed. And so 5 days before their birthday, an email goes out to the agent. It gives them a sort of a 5-day warning. Hey, the birthday's coming up. Here's their contact information. At the same time, we're letting the agent know,
Garrett,
hey, we just sent...
Stop just 1 second. Everybody pay attention. He said, notice to the agent.
Yeah, it's
his
huge.
partner, the person that referred this borrower to him. I wanted to make sure, because Garrett, you said that fast. I want to make sure everybody's in your head right now. It takes me months for people to get in my head. And in 10 minutes, I just want to, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I want to make sure that your key here is enhancing the relationship with the referral partner.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So go ahead, keep going. So the agent gets a note.
Yeah, they get an email in their inbox, and they absolutely love it. The first few times an agent gets it, I mean, I get texts, I get phone calls. I can't believe you guys do this, and it's an email. So it's really simple, but the concept is huge. So at the same time, this is 5 days before the birthday, we send what we want the card to say. The agent's name is in the card. Of course, it's coming from us. The envelope is handwritten. It looks like someone handwritten the card for them, and they send it out. And so it arrives about a day before or day of their birthday. And day of their birthday, again, the client gets an email, a little celebratory email. Agent's copied on it. Agent's name is also in the email, and the agent sees the birthday email as well. So we're using a client's birthday to, of course, celebrate with them. And we're also using the birthday to remind the real estate agent of the value that we bring, not just in closing and closing on time, but years after for just that one client. And we do that for every client. And that entire process is automated.
And so I want everyone to, understand this, because this is, I don't want to say that this is higher level, but it really is, and this is where everyone should be aspiring to get. So, Garrett, we may have discussed this before. I used to play a game with my referral partners called my Platoon 1, my Platoon 2 partners, where if a mutual client that, bought a house with them and closed on a loan, right? So you have the one team, you have 50 of them, right? So say there's 50 people in your CRM or in your database, whatever.
Yeah.
If one of those people talked to me about something real estate related, and then of course I called the agent that referred, they owed me lunch. And if the agent got information mortgage related from the person and referred it back to me, I owed them lunch. Needless to say, I ballooned to 280 during that period. But one of the greatest games ever, and it's really teaching the agents as well, hey, let's go. If we do this together, we can blow this thing up, because there's nothing better than starting. It's a great conversation. It's tongue in cheek at the beginning, but it's fun, to be able to call, one of your referral partners. Hey, it's Garrett. How you doing? Oh, great. Hey, what'd you do this weekend? Oh, I did this. Hey, by the way, I just talked to the Smiths. Wait, the Smiths. Yeah, they closed in 2016. Oh, okay. Yeah. How they doing? Yeah. I'm not sure when the last time you talked to them was, but their next door neighbor needs to list their house. So you should probably call them. Wait, what?
Yeah.
Right. It's huge for partnering. A lot of loan officers, they don't even want to partner with agents. They hate agents. They don't like real estate agents. And when loan officers say that to me, I'm like, you're crazy. You need to turn your license in. You're missing the whole boat. Because when you're working together in a partnership and you go to that type of level, everybody's going to be doing a lot more business. And the agents are extremely happy because you are really helping them. And if you actually get partners, Garrett, you probably have a couple, you're moving them that way. They're going to work the same way you're working, meaning on their end and you're working on your end. And two things are coming like this at, Mr. Smith, who, the agent sold him a house and closed with you. It's very powerful when you're both, coming the same way. So the birthday thing, what else are you doing as far as touches? Are there any? I know you and I just talked about this. I don't know if you tweaked anything, but are they getting? Actually, you know what? I apologize. Let me go back. How does your team determine when you said obviously we want to stay in front of our biggest fans?
Yeah.
Is that just kind of a thing where one of your guys, Jimmy, just goes, "Hey Garrett, man, this guy really loves us. We need to put a star next to his name," or how do you determine that? Because it was interesting that you said
that. It kind of is like that. I mean, it's the clients that we connect with. Most of them are around our age. Some of them are a little bit older or younger. But it's when we establish connections with clients during the process that we feel like, hey, really enjoyed working with this client. And the people we know that we really enjoy working with, well, we'll probably really enjoy working with their friends as well.
Okay.
So it's about the relationship.
Okay, so you're literally it's there's nothing technical about that.
Yeah,
that is literally someone on your team or you going, "Hey, I really like this guy. I think this guy really likes us or gal or couple or whatever it is. Hey, let's make sure we put them on the short list." And someone on the short list, Garrett, what's a short list person getting? Are they getting a phone call from you once a month? What are those people getting?
Yeah, it's a phone call at least once a quarter. Sometimes a little more than that. We're taking a little bit more time to stay more relevant to them, and really we're just talking about life. We're not really talking about loans or real estate. It might come up in conversation, but if they're having their first child or they're getting married or they just moved or whatever the case is, it really just having a conversation with them, keeping that relationship updated and fresh.
Did everybody hear that? Again, we're not talking about loans. When I coach people to make what I call CC calls, we make them every 4 months or whatever, and I always do let's do a script. Let's play back and forth. The loan officer, almost 100% of the time will fail. They can only get past about 10 words before they're asking for business. Who do you know who? Or what? If you need anything. Look, everybody, they know what you do. You don't need to tell them again. They know. They know you don't need to beat them over the head. They understand, and in fact, the more conversational you are, the more they will continue to take your phone calls. If you beat them over the head, they will not take your phone calls. They will send your calls to voicemail because they know you're calling to beat them up. But there is some sincerity here. You are picking model match people. That's why I wanted to key in on that a little bit. These are people you want to talk to. You have no problem making that call if it pops up, "Hey, Garrett, you need to call the Smiths today." Oh, cool. Bam. Dial. You're not going, another, cold call or another crap call. You're kind of probably excited to see what's going on, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's extremely authentic. And honestly, the only time we talk about mortgages or real estate is if they ask me, "Hey, I've got a great question," or something along those lines. Otherwise, we're not talking about it at all.
Again, I hope you all heard that. Huge. We could end the podcast right now. Biggest message ever. We are not talking about mortgages or real estate unless they bring it up. And again, you know what that circles back to? Patience. Yeah. Ants in the pants. Ants in the pants. Oh, I can't get off the phone without asking for the business. I have to ask for the business. If not, I failed. No. No, you're thinking about it completely wrong. So, Garrett, I'm looking at the time right now, and I know you're a busy guy. So let me just go back, wrap up just a couple of things. Was there anything else on the Garrett sort of global hit list? When I do these podcasts and we start talking about things at 40,000 feet, I mean, we could literally sit here probably for 8 hours and drill down on things. But globally, is there anything else that you just, that would be cool to share that you think has just made a huge difference? The notes I have are, relationships. You and I talk about that all the time. You actually working with people you like, not chasing people you don't like. I said relationships are a marathon, not a sprint, but you said the same thing, which means, hey, be patient. It took me a year to get a loan for my first group. Knowing your value. That was a big one.
Huge.
Knowing what you provide, who you are, and the value you're bringing to a partnership or to a friendship, not necessarily just doing a loan. Work hard. Again, I love when people are they're like, Joel, that's all you got for me? Work hard? I'm like, yeah, work hard. There's a guy that I did another podcast with. He's a good friend of mine. His name's Brian Minkow. He's the top 1 or 2 loan officers in the country. The guy does, $500 million a year or whatever. And he says this all the time. Yeah, all you got to do is, work 8 hours a day. And people are like, what do you mean? He goes, no. I mean, literally for 8 hours work. Literally 8 hours in a row. Try it.
Yeah.
Most of you guys work an hour. You think you're at the office for 8 hours, but you're not doing anything, being productive. Right. Front load the process. Again, huge. Loan officers all the time, they try to save time up front, and then it costs them 19 hours on the back. I think you're very clearly saying we'd rather spend an hour up front and save the 4 hours on the back, running around chasing our tails. Anything else big? Obviously, staying in front of your current clients in a meaningful way. Anything else huge that you'd want to share?
Yeah, staying in front of clients is huge. I get inundated every day at this point with Facebook ads or emails or hey, here's 1,000 referrals and 100% close rate. And so it's easy to chase after all of these sort of new or old type of referral sources, but you got to keep it basic. Stay in front of your referral partners, the ones who've been there with you. And I try and stay in front of everyone B2B at least once a month. Sometimes it's every other month. I'm calling them at least once a month or maybe even every other week. And I'm always calling with something of value. It's not just to say hi. But yeah, staying in front of the referral partners is very, very important, whether you're doing a little bit of volume or a lot of volume. And you can bring in some other sources along the way, but I think the notion right now is as the market slows down, people are looking for new referral sources, and they're going out on the social platform and trying to grab those. And it's still simple. It's still staying in front of the guys you worked with and looking for new referral sources as well.
And everyone, Garrett, he brushed through this very quickly. He said B2B every 30 days. Again, those of you that work with me that are listening know what that is. B2B is belly to belly. It's breakfast, lunch, or dinner. Coffee does not count, and coffee is not for closers. It's not intimate. It's quick. It's fast. It's all about business, and that's not what you want to do. He also said every 30 days. Those of you that work with me listening to this know that that's imperative. We talk about this all the time. Tom, top of mind, is what it's all about. And just because you're talking to your partners, maybe even daily, transactionally, about the Smith file or whatever it is, that never replaces that time sitting there, having a BLT or, having a sandwich or a cup of soup or what's that soup? What's that soup we had? That she crab soup? Where do we go?
Oh, she crab bisque.
Where do we go? Where was that?
That place. It's close to the office, though.
Sorry, Garrett. Garrett, you know how my mind wanders. I went right to food. So, so we got everyone listening today. There's a lot of pearls in here. There's a lot of things that every single person can implement. I mean, everyone. We didn't talk about, you need this technology or you need that. Every single person could do everything that we heard today. Everything. So just on a personal note before we say goodbye, when's the little Locklear hitting the earth?
February 26th.
Nice. That's going to be
give or take.
That's going to be coming very quickly. Those of you that enjoy are enjoying the podcast today and getting to see Garrett, just know that he married way up, and his wife is really awesome. So I'm sure I'm sure he's going to have an awesome little person. We'll have to get them a calculator immediately. That's the fun part. Get them pre-qualing.
Yeah.
Get them pre-qualing young, Garrett. Young.
Absolutely.
So you can add them to the team. So everyone, we had Garrett Locklear today on the Big Joel Show from Nashville, Tennessee. Enjoyed it. Loved it. Garrett, always loved talking to you. We're going to miss you in New Orleans in a couple of weeks, but we'll catch you on the flip side. And thank you very much for your time.